Hello again, it's Graham, and I can't tell you how much I am enjoying this one. I really am. I watched it back the other day and I thought to myself, your hands are moving too much. It's strange. My wife Trina used to be my producer, and she would tell me, don't ever watch yourself back because you'll see yourself doing things you don't like and then doing things you do like. And the problem with that is that you're going to keep on doing the things that you like and cutting out the other things, and you'll become an edited person. And I don't want you. I want you to be real. I don't want you to be edited. And so part of that business nowadays is looking at the little dot on my iPad, which I'm using to be able to do these with you, instead of looking at myself. And I like looking at a little dot. Anyway, so here I am again, and really celebrating this time because it's made available something else in my life. And I've done a little bit of research behind it and find out that this is probably a very good idea, something to take up our time since we are so pretty well in our own residence, in our own space, but doing something which is entirely beneficial to ourselves and to the future. So back in 2007 and 8, when we had that tremendous drop in our economy, that big recession that took place, I was in a small church at that time at Hillcrest in Mount Vernon, and we decided we had a little thing which we called it behind the 8 ball. You know, it was '08, and the 8 ball is the black ball. And if you pot that when you shouldn't be potting it in the game of pool, then you lose the game. And it just thought, in an inadvertent way, we could be living in such a way so that the ball skitters around the table and then, puts down the black ball. It wasn't our intention, but there it went. And it looked like that was happening to our economy at that time. So we prayed and we asked the Lord, is there anything at all that you would have our very small congregation do which would be beneficial? And we got the idea that we were supposed to grow some plants and share those plants with our neighbors and show the whole idea of growing plants, edible plants, with our neighbors as well, and go from house to house and invite them to come in and to a seminar. But now we can't obviously invite other people to come in anymore. But the whole idea of growing a few plants came back to my mind. And we do have a little community garden where I'm living at the present moment. And so I found out that there were 2 beds which had not been spoken for. So I immediately said, please, can I do those? And so I've got 2 beds, number 19 and number 20. And so I went over there the other day and with a trowel, sat down and weeded. And do you know, there was a pale sunshine on, a little bit of a breeze. And it was so lovely to get my hands in the dirt once again. There's something amazing when you get hands into good dirt, which is going to germinate seeds, and then the plant is going to come up and it bears fruit itself, perhaps like tomatoes, etc. And those you can eat. So there's something essentially wonderful about the ongoing element of life itself to get your hands in the dirt. So I got all the weeds out of the way. And then I went to the thing that I used to spend a lot of time looking at. And don't you love that idea, the boy sitting there looking at his hopeful harvest of a vast amount. I love that. Anyway, so I took that, which I've used in the past, and I rang them. I didn't fill it in online or, do the other stuff which you can do remotely. I actually went to the people concerned. Very nice lady answered the phone. And I said, how's it going? This is the research thing, you see. How's it going with you? She said, we are inundated. And I thought, that is the best news I've heard this day. That a seed company is inundated with people who are getting vegetable plant seeds and really upfront. It's early in the season now, and they're getting ready to be able to go. And I thought, that is wonderful news, because there's something so future orientated. It's not immediate. You don't put a seed in the ground and there's the tomato. It takes time. And I think it's so wonderful that other gardeners at the present moment are actually looking into that possibility. Now, I wrote a book called Growing at the Speed of Life, and I did that in the very first year of ever gardening, which is, I started a garden because of this little church relationship that I had. And I'm so grateful that I've done. I've had a harvest ever since that time. And although I moved away from a very nice little garden that I developed myself, I've now got a sensible little 2 beds that I can do, and an arbor where I can grow some vine tomatoes over the top of it. The whole point that I wanted to raise it with you is because maybe you don't have space, but if you have enough sunshine around wherever you live that could last during the summer 7 hours, you need 7 hours of sunshine. And then if you've got any space at all in a container with some good soil in that container, you can begin to grow some plants. And many of the supermarkets nowadays are getting to have those start plants, a little plant which has been growing nicely that could be put into a larger container and then start to grow up and bear some fruit. And it may be that simple to begin with. Or it may be that you've got a little bit of grass behind where you live, and you could actually take the top grass off and make a little strip and actually till that up and begin to grow some plants. I'll tell you, there's master gardeners almost everywhere that you can find them online and find out where they are and ask them the question, how could I do this in just a little piece of my backyard? I think you'd find that it would be wonderful. A little quick story before we go today. I do love this ability to chat with you like this one. I hope it's okay for you. You see, I grew my first tomato, okay. And I grew some basil at the same time. And with the basil and the tomato together, it's just a wonderful combination. And a little drizzle of balsamic vinegar on the top of those 2, little freshly ground salt and pepper, just fine. And I was really lusting after this special tomato. It was called a Russian paste tomato that I'd grown. And I tasted it the season before, and I found out how to get the seeds and the plants, etc. So I was watching this like a hawk in a little greenhouse that I have. And I was ready to pluck it when this voice came out of the ceiling of my greenhouse.
Share it with your neighbor.
Oh, and I thought, oh, there you go. That's just imagination. No? And then the voice came again, a little more strident.
Share it with your neighbor.
I didn't hear it with my ears. It was inside me that was resonating this. So I know better than to just throw that on one side. So I got hold of a little basket that my wife Trina had with some violets that had now died. And so I lined the little basket with the basil leaves, and I put the tomato in the middle. It looked really nice. And I took it to my next door neighbor, and I knocked on her door, and she opened it, and I said, "This is for you. It's my first tomato." I shouldn't have told her it was my first one, but this is for you. And she said, "Thank you," and turned around. And I thought, she should be lighting a little sparkler and going, wee, you know, how lovely, and thank you, and all the rest of it. Well, just like that. So I said, is there something wrong? And she said, I just found out that my mum is dying. Now, remember, that's before we get the don't hug business and the 6 foot apart. So I put my arms around her and gave her a hug. Trina came from next door and gave her a hug. And we became neighbors. I don't know whatever happened to the tomato and the basil. It wasn't necessary. But here's the point to it. It may be something that you and I could grow and put some effort into and attend, and then give it away. What an amazing opportunity that would be to sharing our life with our neighbors. It's just a thought, but I can't tell you how excited I am by the idea. So, Master Gardeners, give them a call and see how wonderful it is when a seed begins to come out of the soil and life is emerging. It's our future.